team now. I'm up here now.
So I don't know. I don't have the headset though yet.
That's a break, Grace!
I never wiped it. Check. Can you hear me?
Brendan, get on your mark, please! No more easy ducks!
Where are you? Beside?
Don't let that happen! Come on, Dodgy!
Is that okay, Simon? In the middle?
45! Silence this!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Little Mountain Sportsplex, where we have the Manitoba Organization of Disc Sports middle school and high school provincial finals. Right now, we got the middle school final first. We have SJR St. John's Ravenscourt in green against Lincoln in white. We've just got started here, so SJR has now scored the first point to make it 1-0 for SJR. I'm here with Manitoba Organization of Disc Sports, or MODS, Executive Director Corey Draper.
Operations Director.
Oh, pardon me.
So it's been great being out at Little Mountain Sportsplex. It's our first time out here holding a major event, and I think it's gone really well. We've had a lot of positive feedback, some challenges, but for the most part, having a venue this large with this many fields has been really great for the sport and for the tournament. I think one thing that was really impressive on the first day was just the fact that we were able to put all of our middle school teams in one big area. They can all see each other. It was sort of a real festival atmosphere, I would say. And I think that it really brought around not having to travel. We really made it easy for people. The time between games was extended, but also they didn't have to really move very far to play between a game. So really appreciative of this this kind of facility and having this many fields to allow us to run that. Just waiting for the pull here on the second point. SJR in green. It is quite windy today, so we'll see how that plays out.
And there goes the pole, and that one lands out of bounds there. It is definitely windy. You're going to notice that. If you see on the far right-hand side of the field, there's 4 flags there that are sort of going crazy, so keep an eye on that, and that'll give you a good indication of what the kids are playing through. Ethan Nemetchuk will bring the disc into the middle of the field to start off the second point.
A Lincoln versus SJR final in the middle school division is a very regular occurrence over the years. We've seen these two teams match up several times. Obviously teams like Grey Academy, who was on the broadcast last year, have stepped in, but Lincoln definitely has had a strong program for a long time.
And as you can see in front of you, we've got head coach of SJR Prairie Fire in red there, Lee Davis. And then we have the Westwood's their high school team, the Lincoln coaches on the other side of the field.
With the kind of wind we're facing this weekend, we're going to see a lot of turnovers. And it's not about how many times we turn the disc over, it's where they turn that disc over. So really a field position is going to become a really big thing for the teams, and hopefully the coaches can convince their teams to keep those turnovers on the other side of the field. Sometimes a punt's better than a high-risk throw.
It's certainly very demoralizing to work your way up the field against the wind, turn it over, and then have the team you're playing against huck it or throw it all the way down the field, and then you're right back where you started. So it's definitely an important tactic if you are playing with the wind.
Looks like that wind's blowing diagonally from the broadcast view from right to left, kind of in an angle towards that the far corner of the end zone. So almost any throw is going to be pushed. We're going to see a lot of the action on this far sideline. Lincoln was doing a good job of trying to do a reset to get that disc off the line, but that wind just got at it. Oh!
Nice D there by Ethan Nemechuk as he picks up his hat to get ready.
That's right. He's got a lot of hair there. We apologize, we don't have numbers for the Lincoln players, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult to identify some of their players, but we'll see what happens. They're clearing a lot of space here. Looked like an initiation play, but SJR has got covered pretty well. Wow, nice sliding catch.
Disc is sitting on that sideline there. Lincoln would probably like to try and get it off that sideline, make it a little easier on them.
Very close. Number 14, I don't know if we got that on the list. That was a nice D you got there.
Alex Diamond.
The disc is up. Few catches. Oh, SJR recovers. Keeps that disc nice and flat for the score.
Looked like Senna Laflamme with the end zone catch there, number 9 for SJR, which will make it 2-0 SJR. Walking onto the field in the gray sweater, we can see Coach Jarrett Ham, former Lincoln player and Westwood player.
Yeah, Jarrett was a big part of our high school final last year, all over the broadcast. Was forced to play even more than probably usual with an injury to Ethan from their team, but he normally plays a lot and was a big part of that team, and it's great to see him giving back to the community and going back and coaching middle school ultimate to help keep growing the sport.
We have 1. 2.
So I must say now, I'm thinking it's quite the crosswind actually, because it doesn't seem to be as much of an effect on the headwind. It's just really more of a crosswind, which, like we said, is keeping that disc on that far sideline from our vantage point. And the teams that can remind themselves to keep that disc away from there and not intentionally make passes to that sideline are going to make things a lot easier on themselves. The pole's going to land as a brick and be taken to the middle. Oh, nice little touch in the middle. Saves that disc, and the handler lays out to catch it. The wind just keeps carrying it up, but Lincoln again recovers with another nice catch. Looking for that swing out there. Oh, just not enough spin on that disc.
Dropped a little too quickly on him. Now Lincoln's going to have to regroup on defense.
Abby Howard following her player out there in space. She played for Rebellion last year on the Nationals, one of our junior girls teams. It's nice to see her in this final.
The majority of players who play in those on those teams are from high school, so to have someone that's in the middle school category still playing in those teams is very impressive. So she should be around playing for quite a while.
Yeah, Winnipeg had several younger players playing at Nationals last year, which is a great opportunity. Lincoln's doing a pretty nice job off the bat there with their handler movement. A fan kind of getting involved in an out-of-bounds disc.
Looks like they almost hit their coach on the sideline.
That's right.
I don't know what he said to them on the field.
That's Coach Rob Burns. He is not a fan, he's a coach. SJR with a bit of a cluster in their stack, but it was obviously to create green space, and they ran it out. But again, that wind's going to push that disc. It's tough to make those longer throws. Lincoln calling an initiation play. I'm not sure they're getting what they want out of the players, though. The coaches know what they want.
Looks as if Josh Miko has just thrown the disc. And
really got to get a second hand out there. Oh, wow. Quite the bid for the disc.
Looks like a foul is being called by SJR.
Understandably. Got some really overcast skies here, so we never know if more rain's going to come. We've been lucky so far today that it hasn't rained more than it has. It's only been intermittent. We're pretty dry right now.
And for those of you who don't normally watch Ultimate, there are no referees on the field, so when there's a foul call there, the two players sort it out on their own, and it looks like the Lincoln player had agreed that it was a foul, so the SGR player was able to take the disc right on the end zone line.
SGR looking to move it to the middle. Lincoln, maybe by intention or not, seems to be forcing home, which is kind of giving up the whole field and also making it easier with the wind, I would say. So, oh, nice forehand, but just nobody there. There's that Trenton Humanock, I believe is the name there, that just made that throw. It's got quite the height going for him in a middle school event. Yeah, Lincoln definitely running some very structured initiation plays. But it's very difficult to make those throws, so even with the right cut and right space, it's not always going to work out. The urging of her coach. Hallie made a long run, I believe number 11.
Hallie Cochrane for SJR.
Nice. Yeah,
SJR now leads 3-0.
Lee Davis with a little puppeteering, but I've been known to do that myself when I'm coaching. This is a big moment for Lincoln. You might want to think about taking a timeout, getting their kids settled down. But either way, they got to come up with a point now and just take away the momentum, get a good feeling about how they're doing in this game.
The way Lincoln will be going on this point, they'll be sort of with the wind, so they'll have the advantage in that regard. So yes, definitely a chance to capitalize on the wind and get themselves back into this game. Still early, lots could happen.
That's right. And as we found in the other fields during the day, as I was coaching in the high school division, is that the wind can really change. It can kind of come up and go and go down, and really drop and rise, and you never know really what's going to happen from point to point. So at one point it might seem impossible to move one direction, and then 5 minutes later it's just more of a heavy breeze, which these players actually can throw through. A little bit of a false start on the pull.
Pull goes up from SGR's number 5, Tyler Dodgson, and that one goes out of bounds on the home sideline as well. Again, with that wind blowing, it's tough to keep those throws in the middle of the field. But as you're able to see, when a pull does go out of bounds, what happens is what's called a brick, and that would mean that the team that's receiving gets to take the disc in the middle of the field.
Lots of players running out. Got to make it a little too deep on that setup.
But another strong initiation play from Lincoln. Just off the fingertips of SGR.
I think one thing Lincoln might want to look at doing is setting up their stack a little closer so they're not having to make such long runs.
That was number 20, Carl Zhang.
It's a nice forehand. Oh, but a nice bid.
Really nice D there by Tyler Dobson.
Yeah. Oh, a nice foot block. Yeah, Tyler Dobson's been involved in several plays on this point, but he did get foot block there.
Looks like Chris Turner was the foot blocker at that point.
Lincoln's really struggling, like most people will, when they're starting with that disc on that far sideline where the wind's blowing them too. It's just so difficult. It's such a narrow lane to play into. Dodson making some nice handler cuts to get open. A little swing to the middle. Both teams would do themselves a lot of favors to make a continuation throw from there back over to the middle and get the disc right over to this side, and then they'd have a whole field to work with to move it up.
It was just a little low there, so Lincoln will now take possession. Lee Davis switching the force on Lincoln here to try and.
It's a big opportunity for Lincoln. They need to connect on something. Fake, steps out on his pivot. It's again just a little low. That wind's going to drive that disc down. Sending over their female handler, so I don't have the number in front of me here yet. SR clears. Oh, nice D.
That was number 35, Grace Harding with the disc.
Yeah, SR's made a nice setup on that play, but it really was a great effort on D. for Lincoln to get a hand on that disc and make sure it didn't get caught. Lincoln really can't afford to turn the disc over on that side of the field where they are now, as it's really going to give SJR another chance at that what we might consider an upwind point.
Sort of looked like the wind's picked up a little bit here too. And he's looking to huck it to get it down the field, but he runs into one of his players. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, Lincoln had about 3 players cutting in the same third of the field, which really created a congested area. Looks like they're
stall down.
Yeah, it must be a stall down.
So if the Lincoln player agrees that the disc was thrown after the stall count got to 10, the disc would come back to where the thrower made the throw, and then SJR will now take possession, it looks like.
Yeah, it's going to tap it and walk away. The player should have froze when that was first called. Of course, a lot of middle school players aren't going to be aware of those details. Ooh, forehand, the blade's just turning over. Oh, so close. Had to wait for the reaction to find out. From my vantage point, I couldn't see whether she caught it or not.
Same tactic from Lincoln again, but this time gets caught.
Ooh, oh, so close.
Looks like a call from Lincoln here, thinking she got interfered with.
Right. Seems like the sun's almost wanting to peek out right now. We might get a little brighter here.
And the fireman.
They have a little discussion. They seem to be walking away from the disc. I'm pretty sure they should be at it.
Looks like SJR will not contest the foul, so it will stand as a foul, and Lincoln will take possession of the disc where she would have caught it had she not been fouled. Throws a little low there, though, so SJR will take possession over.
I know the wind is tough, but it seems to be a continuing trend that these backhands are dropping, and the forehands seem to be the ones that are getting caught up in the wind and turning over or just carrying past their players.
Alex Diamond with the forehand huck that, as you can see, is the disc has a mind of its own and is rolling around to the other side of the field.
Imploring their players to find a way to just massage this disc up the field, catch something.
Looks like that disc was tipped on the sideline there.
It was either that or just hook. Sometimes it'll hook on a player's finger and kind of come out funny like that, almost like an early or a late release. Player chose to sort of clap it down instead of intercepting it, but that's fine.
As long as the rotation of the disc is not.
That's right. It wasn't one of those double turnovers where you sort of catch it, hold on to it, stop the spin, and then drop it again, and it would actually be another turnover.
Which would make it very unbeneficial for you. Yeah. I suppose he doesn't want to tap it and have it tap back, raise back up into the air. So maybe that was his plan.
Me and my friends that played Ultimate for years are experts and masters at getting Ds on disc. They actually just tip to the other team. Makes you want to cry. Again, that wind's just driving that disc down.
SJR looks like they're doing a good job of keeping their hands high to force that disc to go low.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of the two. Is that disc going to hold? Yes, it is.
Looks like it gets caught.
On the goal line.
Now it's in the end zone.
It's a nice sliding grab. If we get the number under the hoodie there, I think 17 might be the number, but we'll figure that out in a second. But a very nice aggressive move, double knee slide, and then the presence of mind to get up right away and pass it to her teammate before a defender could get to him.
I believe it was actually Grace Harding who might caught that, but I don't know for sure. At least who caught the assist, and then she threw it into the end zone.
I believe that makes it 4-0.
It is 4-0 SJR. So it looks like Lincoln has called a timeout as Coach Jared Ham has his team huddled up in the field. Going to try and regroup them.
This is a good move. I probably would have liked to see them call it after the last point, just to try and see if they can't change the flow of the game. But now's the time to do that. While we have a moment, we'll thank our great friends at Independent Jewelers Limited, the Epp Brothers, for the support of this event and this broadcast, and Mods in general. They've been a great participant and sponsor the last few years, and we really appreciate the investment they're making, not only in Mods, but in the community and youth sports.
I think so. Like timeout.
It's a timeout. That's correct, yeah. It should be about another minute. So both teams will stay huddled up. Timeouts are technically 70 seconds, but as we find, they usually go a little longer. Sometimes timeouts last longer than halftime, even though they shouldn't. We intentionally scheduled and left the field on the other side of them, that would be referred to as Field B. We've left it open so they'd have lots of room, but otherwise, all weekend you would have seen pretty much every field in play.
Total of 49 teams.
That's right. We unfortunately had one team drop out. We had 50, and so yeah, 35 high school teams and 14 middle school teams. We'd like to see that middle school number go up. We had a higher number in our league, but just the weekend events don't quite work for everybody. And in some cases, schools have multiple teams, but for a weekend event, they might only be able to actually field one of those two teams.
And that's part of why we were lucky enough to have the weather we did, because having 49 teams of kids reschedule their weekends with poor weather is very, very difficult. So it's definitely a blessing that the kids are going to be able to play.
Correct. The rainout date would have been next weekend, and the one year we did have a rainout date, I think we lost almost 50% of the teams because these kids have busy schedules. It's the end of the school year.
They're all playing other sports as well.
Lots of other sports, lots of other activities. So they've had this date marked in their calendar for a long time. I actually had a coach ask me earlier this week when the 2019 provincials were, to make sure that they didn't conflict with an event they were worried about. So it's nice to see parents thinking that far in advance about the sport of ultimate.
Lincoln's now getting themselves set up on the line, and the pull will come from SJR very shortly.
Last year, Rob Burns was rocking the big shade hat. This year, it looks like he needs a toque.
Not so necessary this year with the shade hat. Clouds are doing a good job of that.
Maybe an umbrella for the rain, not for the shade like it was last time.
There you go.
I think the next time Lincoln's defending the end zone that SJR is in right now, they'd be well advised to make sure they move that disc far down the field, so if they turn it over, it's going to be on the other side. Up to Abby Howard in the middle. Steps out on a fake. Nice job. You can really see the development from being on the touring teams, and she really just has certain manners and posture that show wisdom beyond her age.
Especially as a thrower, when you're able to make your fakes look as
Off the face, and she almost got it.
When you're able to make those fakes look as real as your throws, it's certainly a lot harder for the defender to differentiate between both. So that's definitely a valuable skill she has already.
Oh, a little misconnection. I think Dobson, I believe that was on the throw. He thought his player was going right. His player went left, but given the elevation of that disc, I don't think he would have got it either way. Lincoln has Ethan out as a cutter at this point, whereas I believe he was handling in earlier points. He moves in as that initiation cutter. Gets the disc in the middle. Oh, an ill-advised high-release indoor pass. Almost saved.
Almost caught there by Josh Miko. But definitely in the wind, you don't want to throw it up too high, otherwise the wind will, take it and, have a mind of its own once again.
That's right. The bottom of that disc is just like a bowl, and it catches that wind, and it's going to push it in all sorts of directions. Now, if the wind is back, you can make that type of pass. So Dobson for that 5-0 score, and a really crushing point.
Point caught there by Blair Hamilton. And I don't know if you can see right now that the rain has picked up once again, and as the kids are trying to take cover, but that will make the score 5-0 SJR.
So the middle school final is a game to 15. We're just kind of reminding ourselves here of the rules. The tournament games were all games to 13 in both divisions, but the high school and middle school finals are games to 15, with the high school final actually being an extended time slot, a full 2-hour time slot. And that'll be coming up later after this game. Can really see the wind blowing the jerseys of SJR as they're getting ready to pull. Some of the Lincoln players have added some hoodies and stuff like that on. It will become more difficult. The disc is going to get really slippery, and it's hard to hold on. Those forehands are very difficult in this kind of weather. They can slip right out of your hand. Lincoln walks up slow, lets their cutter set up. They've set up a very wide lane in the middle. They've got their cutters spread to the far sides of each sideline. Nice catch in the middle. Looking for that outfield throw. Oh, puts it up. Just can't quite hang it out there long enough. But at least in this case, as I said, I like that shot because now at least they've pushed SGR way back into their own end. SGR chose to pick it up and play it from inside the end zone, which they should be still there because they faked and they can't move it at this point.
Yes, it looks like
especially after stall count's been started.
Yeah, it looks like she's getting told that she's
right.
not able to move.
I think she'd be another few steps back there too, but that's fine. There we go. This is what I'm talking about. This is the strategy that I thought Lincoln would have played a bit more, which is send that disc long, try if you can to catch it, and then otherwise play some hard D, and really make SGR work it up the whole length of the field to score an upward.
Set up right on the end zone line, so Lincoln just needs to complete a pass a couple feet in front of him, and they'll be on the board.
Some hesitation here in some of these cuts. It's starting to clog. We're running out of times on this stall count. There's no reset.
That disc looks like it's going to hang a bit.
Oh,
it's
just
going to go just over.
A little too high. But again, as it's in the end zone, Lincoln at least has the chance to put that pressure on, hold him to the side of the field, hopefully get another turn.
Will bring it up to the front of the line this time. Make it easier on themselves.
Right. Miscommunication on SGR, not really creating much green space there. They've been really, really great at doing that, leaving those lanes open, but two players seem to be had the same idea from different directions, kind of cut each other off. For an end zone play here. We'll see what it is.
Fakes from the thrower.
Right. There seem to be it's very close.
Would have been a tough play there.
It's difficult to tell what their coaches really wanted there as players seem to be running in different directions sideline to sideline. Maybe a bit of confusion. Or maybe that's part of the play.
Looks like number 33, Trenton Homanuk, will bring the disc up to the line once again. The throw from Lincoln there came from Trent Glowatsky.
That throw on that sideline is tough, and this is what Lincoln wants. Forcing that sideline, make that wind carry that disc right out of bounds, eliminate any chance for SGR to move that disc up the field and score another point. If Lincoln wants any chance to get back in this game, they have to score this point.
Nice Berkeley up the line there, just missed her.
Someone coming wide open there.
Trent with the big fakes, making his mark move a little bit.
Yeah. Number 27 on the mark did a really great job of taking away that open throw that looked like it would have been their best chance to score. Looks like it's Blair Hamilton that was on that far sideline. He just stepped in right at the right moment. SGR walks it up to the line. Try and get it out of here, but Lincoln's doing a great job of keeping them there. The disc is up and carries. The Lincoln defender just eats that up. He's having nothing with that.
Looks like he hurt his hand on that too.
Probably banged his thumb, yeah. He's in cold weather like this where it's a bit cool, that disc really firms up and can be quite painful to catch, and especially painful to D. Lincoln clearing cutters.
Big huck up line there, and that, again, goes a little low and hits the ground a little too early.
Yeah, the play was there. The room was there. It was for a middle school team. Despite their difficulties in scoring, I'm quite impressed with the structure of their game and the way they're moving their players around to create the space and the opportunities. I think the wind has probably picked up a bit in the last few minutes, and it seems much more difficult than it was earlier in the game for SGR to move in this direction.
Definitely. Feels a little colder out here.
Mr. Burns has put his hood up, so we know it's getting chilly out there. Just a bit too much on that forehand.
Now it looks like the disc is out of bounds, and it might have gone out of bounds prior to the end zone, so I'm not sure if SGR is going to take it at the front of the end zone or farther up. Looks like Lincoln is marking up just on the middle line of the soccer field there.
The disc is further up than I think the cutters realize, so they're almost jammed right up into each other. There's not a lot of space.
Nice battle there for the disc.
That's right.
Number 20, Carl Zhang, looking to catch that one. Just missed it.
Lincoln just really has to know that that's pretty much the primary option at this point on that sideline. Is their SJR is just going to have to put a long throw up, especially after the confusion they had at the beginning of the play. There's a cut underneath. Oh, so close. That would have been quite an impressive catch. That with the wind at his back, that disc had a lot of velocity on it.
This guy doesn't want to play. We need to push more.
A nice D to stop that upline throw. No jersey over there, so we're just taking a second to figure out her.
I think it was Mia Tembakis.
Sounds about right. Our apologies to her if that's not who that is. It would be interesting to keep a tally of all the turnovers on that throws on that sideline. They unfortunately be quite high, but it would be to be expected. SJR wants to walk that disc up to a higher point. A little bit of conversation, but there it is again. That backhand from that line is just not.
And the D there from Trent Glowatsky, pushing the disc even closer to the end zone.
Yeah, he took his opportunities to spike it a little bit like a volleyball and
Grabbing his hand again.
get a beneficial roll. They're going into an end zone stack here, vertical. They're a little too tight and compact. This is looks like they're gonna, possibly cut each other off. I'd like to see them spread that out a bit and create a little bit more space. Abby with a nice cut up the line, or that's not Abby. Sorry, pardon me. The gray pants. She does not have the tights on.
Alyssa Rendina.
Yes, thank you. What a great job. Got confused. They both taller players, and I guess just after seeing Abby run that similar cut many times earlier in the game, I instinctively thought it was her.
That makes the score 5-1 for Lincoln.
Yeah.
Pardon me, for SJR. Lincoln
That's
just
right.
scored. Lincoln just got their one.
Yeah, yeah.
Now it's 5-1 SJR.
We forgot to tell the other team that point was worth a lot.
I believe the catch there was made by Chris Turner in the end zone, so he gets credit for the point there.
At this point, I think that right now, given the conditions and the way they've changed to that end zone, Lincoln's really going to need to catch a break. And by that I mean they're going to need SJR to turn it over for them, maybe a bit closer to the end zone. SJR has been very smart to use those longer throws to at least regain field position. But if Lincoln can get them to turn over really close and get that upwind break and then get another one, well, then we're really right there, right? 5-3, but that's a long way from now.
SJR has looked very strong and in control going with this win, so see if Lincoln can put a stop to that.
Prairie Fire finished the tournament as the #1 seed, which is sort of to be expected. And interestingly, they ran into their own team, SJR Winchill, in the quarterfinals. SJR sending a player streaking down the field. Looked like Dobson was going to send it. He held onto it. Nice throw in the middle and a nice catch by number 21.
Emily Cho with the catch.
Yeah, a nice swing. They'd be well advised to take away Dobson's backhand. He's really been good to rip it. Ooh, number 31 with a nice slide, but just came out.
Eagle Way with a little slide there.
We, of course, apologize for any of our mispronunciations. Some challenging names out there. Lincoln crowding the disc quite a bit. Can it be saved? Oh, so close. Ethan actually was sliding in. I don't think he saw that it was his own teammate that was going to get that. He might have affected. Wow. That was that Emily, I believe, sliding there?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a great bid.
It's a good bid. It looked like she might have had a good chance at it. Our perspective's a bit off, though. That wind, if they can find a way, you can't get your own throw. So the handler moving in there, all he could do is wait for a tip. Lincoln will try and keep them on that line.
Nice fake
Oh.
up the line there by Dodgson.
Touchdown.
He's calling himself in. Looks like Abby
Yeah, I'm not sure
is.
if there's a call there.
I think Abby thought he had maybe walked in, so I think the kids are just sorting it out now.
Getting chilly enough, I'm going to put my own jacket on.
So it looks like what they're worried about is whether or not Dodgson had walked in with the disc. So looks as you see them jumping now, they're basically imitating that he had caught it. Looks like SJR is thinking they may have caught it in the end zone and then took a few steps, while Lincoln was thinking that he had caught it before he got in the end zone and then took a few steps into the end zone. But it looks like they sorted it out here, and it'll count as a point for SJR, which will make the score 6-1 for SJR.
I would say from our perspective, it did look like he landed his first point of contact in, but sometimes it is a situation where it's the momentum that carries them in, and that would not be a point. So if that first point of contact had been on the ground outside of the goal, outside of the end zone, then it would have to come back to that point. Sorry, you said it was 6-1?
Yes, I believe it's 6-1 for SJR.
So 2 points to half. For Lincoln, they're hoping there's a lot more points than that to half, because that'll mean they close up the score and having a chance. I believe if they follow the strategy they used last point, they'll have an excellent chance to get a point on this turn, as they do have that strong wind at their back now.
Keep trying to work it up that sideline and try and punt it as close as they can to the end zone.
Correct. Anything they can do to move this disc over to the home sideline would be to their advantage, so they can have more field space to work with, because as we've seen, it's kind of like a little death trap over there. It's tough to get down the field when you've only got a narrow corridor to do it in.
And for the home sideline, that would mean the sideline which their bags and teammates and whatnot are waiting on. So to Lincoln, the far sideline from your perspective would be their home sideline. And then SJR, the close sideline, would be their home sideline. So if you hear any of the athletes saying force home or force away, that's what they mean.
It's interesting. I'm watching Lincoln's cuts out of their stack. It seems very premeditated, and they're almost running horizontally straight across the field, which in certain circumstances could work, but maybe doesn't seem the most efficient. Oh, again a foot block. This is what Lincoln wanted. Starting position that close to the disc.
Looks like Levi
Cutter was there.
Levi Norris with the disc looking
wow.
to throw it in the end zone, and that just sails over everybody's head out the back.
It looks like there might be a call on the throw. I think there might have been a contact or a foul on the throw. Sorry, you said that was Levi on the other side?
Yes.
Yeah. His
Levi
cutter ran
Norris.
wide open right in front of him. It's too bad he couldn't get his forehand off a short throw, as he did. It did seem like he had his receiver coming to that front end zone, had a couple of steps on his defender. So if the disc could have got there, it would have been a point. Pardon me, it would have been an excellent chance at a point. Still got to get a catch. Hanlon runs the cut. Oh! Had his hands on it, but SJR's defender made a nice tip on it.
Carl Zhang with the nice play.
Yeah, he just got his hand in there and gave it a slap. Not enough to knock it completely away, but certainly affected the ability for the player to catch it. That backhand up that sideline into the wind has that familiar refrain of spinning and turning over.
Trent is taking his time to pick up that disc, waiting for his stack to set up.
Oh, yeah. Very key box, yeah. He's still in Manitoba?
And Huck goes to the end zone.
Oh, can he hang on? Wow. Probably the most entertaining point of the match so far.
Looks like that was Chris Turner again with the catch.
Graphics?
Takes some impressive concentration to stay with that one.
Definitely, it looked like it was going to get away from him, especially because once it tips up in the air like that, the wind can push it.
Sorry.
Just trying to see if I recognize any of the players from Prairie Fire as being in the game from last year, and I'm quite certain I saw at least one. But many of them would have graduated into their grade 9 teams and be playing in the high school division this year.
So that now makes the score 6-2 for SJR.
That's correct. And again, it's that upwind break, as we call it, meaning that the team going into the wind was able to score, kind of therefore breaking the defense. That's the kind of thing that Lincoln's going to need to get back in this game, as SGR was able to do it earlier in the game when there wasn't as strong of a wind. It's a tough hole to climb out of. Player streaking downfield. This
Real big hut that comes up. Lincoln's going to be right there to tip it down.
Well, maybe a little miscommunication on SGR's part, as they sent 2 different cutters straight down the field, and all that does is bring more defenders. The better served to only send one at a time. Lincoln with a nice catch as that wind gets under that disc. He's looking for his reset. Oh, a nice upfield throw, but just right into that wind, and it pops up like an elevator.
Ursula, go! Hard! Hard to that first sideline, Ursula!
Big throw up the line, a nice catch by Brendan Halpenny. And so Lincoln and SGR continue to trade points up with the wind here.
Same time slot, game to 15. Yeah. Yeah, we'll set it in the schedule.
Blues got it. Blues got it.
So Corey here just explained to Coach Lee Davis of SGR that the game will go to 15, not 13. So Lee Davis was thinking that it was halftime at 7, but halftime's actually not until the score hits 8.
Just confirming the score with the coaches. They were a little confused just with the 13-point scores we were using all tournament. They assumed that was the score for this game, but if they read the fine print on the schedule. But we are keeping the same time slot.
Always gets you. Fine print always gets you.
That's right. The details.
So that'll make the score 7-2 for SJR. SJR now has the poll coming up here.
Lincoln's really hoping they can get this point, delay halftime. So the more points they can score before SGR can hit 8, the better chance they're going to have.
True.
Big pole that looks like it just sails out of bounds.
This time that is Abby. Abby bringing the disc back, but it's Ethan on the field with the disc. He's going to walk it into the middle. His Blue Jays hoodie. Lincoln's trying to stick to their set initiation place to get the disc moving. The wind's just getting in the way of a lot of these throws. Here comes a forehand. This tip is live for anybody. Wow, a few people had a chance at it.
Just off the hands of number 16, Harry Fisher, trying to catch the seconds there.
Lincoln setting up. They got the disc on the sideline. I'm sure they'd love to get it off the sideline, but right now they seem to only have eyes for the end zone. And a lot of people have the same idea. Oh! That would have been pretty impressive. It was a difficult throw to make. He dropped it in almost like a football throw. Seems like the receiver's looking for a call here on something. I'm not too sure. He seemed to kind of be all alone in that space.
That'd be Amadeo dos Santos.
It's quite the impressive name. I'm really not sure what the call was or why the player who made the call is now back on the other side of the field, but some of the technicalities of the rules aren't as well known to the middle school players, and as it is a self-officiated sport, they're not always gonna know all the details, all the rules. But those are teachable moments. Lee imploring his player to at least walk up the line, and now he's walked it past the line.
That disc unfortunately goes right into the ground, and Lincoln will try and stay true to the downwind points, and will try to make it 7-3 as it stands 7-2 for SJR.
They certainly cannot afford another upwind break with this wind.
Be a very demoralizing way to go into halftime, so definitely something Lincoln would like to avoid. Ethan Nemechek with the cut up line for the birthday.
Oh, but SJR sniffed that out.
A good read there by
in the lane.
Brendan Halpenny there.
Lee Davis reminding his players of the middle school no zone policy, and while the team wasn't playing zone, the player maybe arguably was. Lincoln's disc, I believe, on this far sideline. They're backed up almost all the way to midfield, and again, they really don't want that disc turned over where they are. They really got to get it downfield. Nice catch. Hopefully we can get a little bit of continuation and flow out of this.
Ooh, tip there on the mark.
It was an excellent job by the handler to make the space, and unfortunately for them, the mark just had really quick hands. Got a hand on that disc.
So Lincoln really needs to bear down now that SGR has the disc somewhat in the middle of the field.
It's a flat throw. It's just hanging, but nobody was able to come underneath it. Again, Lincoln's in sort of a dangerous territory here. I know you want to see them make smart choices, move the disc up slowly, but a turnover here could give SGR that opportunity for that difficult upwind break. Disc is tapped in, 31 on the mark. Getting nice and low.
Eagle way on the mark.
Ethan with a nice break backhand. He kept it from getting away. There's another nice catch.
That hits Eagle way in the back of the head.
Yeah, sometimes you get D's that way. Oh, that arm motion, you can just see a little bit of a downstroke. Tell
Number
that disc wasn't
16,
going to make
Harry
it.
Fisher.
Cutters, you're too deep. Cutters are too deep.
Can hear
Western's coach Jared just trying to bring his players and create that space. Ethan patiently waiting. Again, just too many people trying to do the same thing at the same time. The backhand's going to hang. Is it going to stay in the field, though? I don't think so.
Doesn't look like it. All the players have sort of stopped, but it does look like his hand. Number 33, Trenton, has his hand up in the air there, signaling for a foul call.
Possible contact on that throw.
Which would make sense considering the trajectory it took.
We're aware of it down the other end of the field. It's interesting, our perspective, our angle's a bit off, so it's hard to tell. It's hard to see if the disc is actually in that corner or not. It could be several feet out and we wouldn't be able to tell. Oh, that just
nice
hung.
Catch.
SGR crowded on the line, trying to reset it. Oh, just a small turn. Lincoln would be well served to punt this disc. It's unfortunate, but it's the reality of the situation they're in. Good catch. Does come out after the catch. Questionable as to what caused that. Looks like a bit of a contact on the throw, maybe not though. The defender was taking no chances, threw himself at it. Lincoln's moving some players around here to try and change up the dynamics. Letting Ethan take back to the middle.
Maybe see if he can get open on his defender and then
yeah, he's showing some aptitude. He's running some nice handler cuts. Oh, wow. If he's in on that line, that's a great play. And can this hang? Oh! Well, Lincoln did not score. They did successfully move this disc all the way down to our end of the field, and that's going to at least give them the advantage they have of being with the wind at their back and creating a lot of space.
Because once again, if SGR scores here, that'll make the score 8-2, and SGR will take half.
Correct.
Big huck up the line. It's going to drop down pretty quickly.
Get on that far side of her, Ursula.
Your hours of work.
Disc is getting moved way up. Lincoln back into primary scoring position. But of course, being stuck on the sideline is going to make it a little bit more difficult. Several players crowding that corner. Oh, very close. SGR with a bit of an interception. backhand's just going to hang and float and carry out of bounds. Back to Lincoln's
Okay, I
possession.
want Alyssa to take it. Alyssa assist.
We're going to try and get some of the scores from the earlier tournament results sent over for these teams, just so we have some context as to how they got here. Lincoln streaking several people deep. Here comes the disc. It's hanging over everybody. Oh, 4 players go up for it, but it carried over all of them.
Ethan, I want you far sideline. Vito in the middle.
Players are repositioning again.
Ethan, come over.
Waiting for this disc to come into play. It's tapped in. Several fakes and a forehand that lunges down the line.
It's in the front.
As long as the team has to start on that sideline, they're going to have a really hard time making it up the field if the defenders are in the right spots. Nice throw. Caught in the middle. Reset on the dump.
It's number 11, Hallie Cochrane with the disc.
A nice throw and a nice catch.
Nice catch by Eagle.
Yeah. Oh, another nice catch. Sliding on the knees, number 12. She really secured that nicely.
A string of nice catches like that is sure a nice way to build momentum, especially
Yeah.
going against the wind.
Another reset.
Looks like a
there's
timeout's being called by
timeout
SJR.
call.
That's a good call, actually.
Very smart play. Especially when they're this close on that upwind. It's so tough to get over there, as we've been seeing, that you don't want to have a rush throw or forced to take something you don't feel comfortable with. Might as well call that timeout, see if you can't set up a play.
Yeah, now they're able to give themselves an opportunity to really have a good chance to punch that in.
As the team is planned and strategize about how they're going to try and punch this in, and from Lincoln's point of view, how they're going to stop this and score this downwind point and extend this half and try and keep themselves in contention in this game. I'd like to remind all the viewers, especially those parents out there of younger Ultimate children, Mods has a summer camp coming up this year in July. You can register online. And last year was the first year we did it. We're hoping to expand it this year. A 1-week option. It's a great. It's great for people that are looking not only for an ultimate option for the summer, but maybe just something for their kids to do for the week. Kind of cheap babysitting.
In fact, there are a couple players in this game that went to the summer camp last year. Ethan Nemetchuk, Trent Glowatsky, as well as Nikki Goubert. All were at the summer camp last year and had a great time.
It's nice for these players, especially the school season, as people probably wouldn't know, is generally speaking is from about the last week of April to this weekend. So it's a very, very short, compressed season for Ultimate, and many of the players and the parents are looking for additional options. And the Winnipeg Youth Ultimate League and our Mod Summer Camps are some of the ways they can do that, as well as Winnipeg Youth League Winter League options. SJR is getting ready to set back up.
Also, the dates of the summer camp will be from July 17th to the 20th.
That sounds very correct, and I thank you for bringing that up.
You can always go to the Mods website or email someone at Mods to get more information.
Sure, yeah. So on the Mods website, on the front page, you'll notice 2 bars. One's an adult one that says men's and women's and co-eds and things like that. And directly beneath it is sort of a gold or orange colored bar that says junior touring, junior school. And when you look at junior events, that's the one that drop-down menu under there would have the summer camp. Some information as well as a registration link. Oh.
Fortunately for SJR, that disc hung a little bit in the air, and Lincoln now has a chance to punt it.
If that was the design play, it worked perfectly, except for the wind didn't like them and got in the way of it.
It was a very nice Berkeley cut.
Nice separation. Oh, if he can run under it, oh! Some well-deserved grass stains on the back of that jersey.
It's a really nice bid there by Lincoln.
This is
Very impressive.
interesting. Lincoln had a really good underneath cut that they could have thrown to, but that upfield throw actually almost worked. And now look at this turnover again.
That's a really big hand block there.
Here's their position. I wonder if Lincoln doesn't have a different strategy they could use in this position, because the ones they've been used, this style has not resulted in many scores. Ethan tried to throw it up and around everybody.
Which makes that's a tough throw in general, and that's an even tougher throw in these conditions.
That's right. The wind's going to push that down. There's a throw. Oh!
Just off the fingertips there of Hallie Cochran.
You can see that disc had started to turn over just as it got to her, so it makes it very difficult to catch. The spin had kind of stopped, and as soon as your finger touches a non-spinning disc like that, it drops like a rock. Ethan Nemechuk just darting in and out and then upfield. Lincoln handler kind of forced to just put it up. The count was getting high. Didn't have a lot of options. Lincoln with some nice pressure in that lane and getting that D.
Just a reminder, the score is still 7-2 for SJR.
There we go.
Makes the catch. Was he in or was he out? SJR looks like he's
calling him out.
He seems
SJR player seems to be trying to call something. That's for sure.
Now the two players will have a discussion.
Next play, Chris. Does that mean that receiver over there with the?
I believe so. Yes, he was the one that had the hand blocks earlier before.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. They called his number and he definitely delivered. Although I'm not sure what the call might be. I wonder if they think if he's out. I guess that must be the call.
Looks like they're going to conclude that he was out of bounds as SJR is picking up the disc and bringing it up to the line.
That's a tough break for Lincoln to probably a game of inches there to whether the player was in or out.
Sure seems that way. Nice catch. Oh, and
yeah,
she
catch
it,
and then a drop.
And the disc fell out of her hand.
Curve. Sorry, folks, we have two microphones going, and sometimes we don't know which one we're talking into. Was that up? I guess not. He also looked like he was slid out of bounds, so.
Double whammy.
Probably double out.
Just off the fingertips there of
Yeah,
Eagle.
tips out of bounds. In conditions like these, we see the middle school game can be somewhat reduced strategy-wise to specific areas and looks. Like this, we've seen the field shrunk quite a bit. Pressure on that D so he couldn't catch it. I think people will notice if they haven't watched a lot of Ultimate before in our next game in the high school final that the players will be much more able to move the discs laterally, side to side, have a lot more control over their throws and be able to deal with this wind. Nice up line cut. Number 11 catches that.
Hallie Cochran. That up line play from hers didn't work the last couple times, but worked there.
What we've seen a lot of in this game is players who getting Ds on other players that they're not covering, but that's because the person they are covering is getting too close. So what I'm talking about is just offensive players getting a little too close to each other. So they're bringing in their defender, and then their defender happens to be in the area and able to get their hand on a disc that's meant for someone else. That's where spacing is really important. SJR in a familiar position here, walking it up to the goal line on that sideline.
How many times at this point have they started at that exact
Seems like
spot?
about 8 or so, but nice catch.
Upline cut again from Hallie.
SJR needs to get that flow back they had right before that timeout. Oh, nice throw. It's flat, but it's not where he needs it to be.
Really nice tight throw into that wind though.
If the teams can get into a little bit more of those short lateral passes to create a bit more space, even if they could just get the disc to the middle of the field, that That would give them so much more space to work with than right on the sideline.
They have cutters coming from both sides to choose from.
That's right. When the disc is always trapped in that line, a lot of the players of this age are, of course, are going to feel compelled to all get over there. And that's when you get, oh, this is going to hang.
Looks like it's going to sail right out of bounds, though. SJR is going to have another opportunity near the same spot to work their way upwind.
It's just a long walk here. That disc carried far out of the back of the end zone. A middle school field is much shorter than our high school fields.
About 30 yards shorter.
Yeah. Brought that in at the same time as we did the no zone rule with our long-term athlete development policies. Trying to just give the players this age a better version of the game that's going to develop their skills.
Now, zone you'll probably see in the high school final later on. However, so what a zone would do is it would make the throwers that are on offense have to make a lot of throws to move the zone, and in a win like this, all those throws become that much tougher. So that's why zone would be so effective, and that's why you will see most likely an effective zone in the high school final.
Yeah, if the wind is as persistent as it is and as much of a slight headwind as it seems to be, then there'll be a definite advantage as that disc just carries. There'll be an advantage to play the zone, which, as you mentioned, just forces a lot more throws. And basic rule of ultimate: the more times you have to throw and catch it, the more likely you are to make a mistake. That upline throw just a little bit short. Ethan bent over to pick it up and then decides to back off.
Letting this team get set up there.
Yep.
Eagle on the mark.
Lincoln has two cutters upfield in the same lane. Wow, nice catch.
Definitely.
Number 17 was right in his pocket there. Fake, looking to get it across. That was a great play. The teams would be well served to do that about 150 more times in the game. Nice try.
Almost caught that one on the line there. Not sure if he would have been out of bounds or not. Looks like it was tight to the sideline, but really nice bid.
With the type of weather we're dealing with today, you'll notice a lot of the players are wearing what we call the friction gloves. Probably different brand names out there, but they just help with wet discs, and some people really like the feel of them, especially in the colder weather.
And my feet completely frozen.
Many people who wear those gloves say that when it's raining outside and they're wearing the gloves, it's like it's totally dry out. So it doesn't.
Yeah, you know, I've only had an opportunity once to try them myself. I found the pair I wore maybe almost too sticky, and it kind of affected the throws. So, while it felt good for the catches, I didn't feel as comfortable throwing with them. So, I guess I'm an old school guy, and I'm not converted yet.
Yeah, really effective use of the gloves that's kind of picking up now is they'll wear it on their non-throwing hand.
Right.
So then they just have it there for catching, which is sort of what you want it for mostly anyway. Some players decide to do that. That just looks like it spun right past the cone, which is a very unfortunate roll for Lincoln.
Because they've got them just pinned right on the corner.
Yes,
right
SJR probably got it exactly where they wanted. Lincoln now has to start from their own end zone and try and work it all the way up the field. So if SJR can tighten up on D here, Lincoln might be in some trouble.
SJR's just going to try and keep them there. They're going to try and force them probably to throw over the top. You can see already the SJR players, a couple of guys out here, they're trying to make sure they're defending that sideline because they can expect in the next little bit for a throw to come.
Big hug off the line.
Yeah, interception.
Brendan Halpenny with the D catch.
Yeah, he's got some great height out there in this division too. Nice fakes. Oh.
That disc goes high in the air and sails way out of bounds.
He did a really great job of moving his mark, but just as he was releasing that throw, he kind of snapped his wrist up, and that just kind of lifted that disc up.
Looks like that went out of bounds on the other field next to it. So
wow,
just to give some perspective on how far that how strong the wind is and how far that disc went.
Jared running it back in. I can't even tell, he's so far away.
At least Jared's getting a workout in today.
Yeah, Jared's getting some running in. I thought he was faster than that. Three players that were quite close together.
Another big huck up the line. SJR will D it. That's Harry Fisher there with the D catch.
Ooh, nice catch.
Unfortunate
Just a bit of a
drop
drop
there by Trenton Homenuck.
Lincoln's well advised to not pick that disc up immediately with so many of their own players behind them still. Now they have a bit of a time for a better setup. See what that choice is. Chances are it's going to be a forehand up that line. Stall 7, he calls out to his players, letting them know he was getting in trouble, needed their help. Oh, the disc still not in play.
Looked like he had it in play, but
yeah, he was a little
getting
confused
told
at the
where
starting
to
point
bring
there.
the disc out to. Yes.
Oh, I didn't see the release of that disc, but
Looked like it got D'd.
oh, okay, yeah.
I believe that was Amadeo Dos Santos with the D.
Gotta love that name.
Amadeo, you have a fan in Corey, that's for sure.
Right. As long as I'm not calling him by the wrong name, then it's a step up.
Another huck up that line. It's not caught by Lincoln. SJR will take over.
On those plays, quite often, by the time the thrower actually releases, the defender just has caught up, and the what they're looking for is not quite there anymore. So we've seen so many of those get deep. SJR with a great fake, catches it up line again.
It's a very long point for the kids.
Ethan lets him know that he thought he caught it out of bounds, and it looks like he's agreed and he's dropped it. You're correct. I think this, we've had a couple of long points, and I think this one might be the longest. That despite both teams having the disc on each other's goal line.
That's true. Both
Being
teams
very
have had
close to
opportunities to score.
This is where it gets tough for the players that are off the field right now. They're getting cold, they're standing there, they're staying engaged and excited about the game, but it's tough with the cool weather. Oh, look out. Oh, great catch.
Nice catch.
Nice job by Ethan to actually step out at the last second and not run straight into his player, as that could have been a bit dangerous. And a great D, like you said.
I believe that was Nick Charette with the D. Way to get in there, use his height, and knock the disc out of bounds. Yeah, if you notice, lots of, especially the SJR players, are wrapped up in blankets there on the sideline.
That's right.
The players
That's a common thing from the weekend, or more so today. It was nice weather yesterday, but blankets, sleeping bags. Well, he did keep his feet in. Thought that momentum was going to carry him up before he caught it, but he got it. Would have loved to have seen a pivot on that throw there. He kind of just torso pivoted. Looks like Ethan's kind of protesting that there might have been a bit of a foul on that defense, but
he's thinking he may have had it in his hand and then had it ripped out of his hand.
Right.
Looks like SJR will not agree, and it'll go back to the thrower.
Ethan's older brother, Braden Nemechek's part of the Sturgeon Heights crew, so maybe you'll be seeing Ethan there. I'm not sure what grade he is in this year, but we'll possibly be seeing him at that school in a year or two.
Another member of the summer camp, Ethan and his brother Braden.
That was very close to a double turn.
Sort of looked like he had caught it and then just
yeah, unlike the one earlier in the game, it was a clear clap without stopping the spin and let it go. That one looked like he caught it and dropped it.
That disc goes high into the air.
Yeah.
Who knows who it. Looks like SJR's coming up with it. Throws it high into the air again.
This is a big moment.
Oh my goodness.
It's a great effort to slide in there and try and get two hands on it.
Lee Davis has his hands on his head in disbelief that wasn't caught. That was number 19, Ursula Clark. And Lincoln will do their same strategy once again and put that disc up the sideline. Caught on the sideline there by one of the players. Probably not a wise move.
Yeah.
As sometimes the disc will bring its way back in bounds. So sort of want to let the disc drop and hit the ground and let it play where it would sit.
It's a great cut by number 11 there. Unfortunately, the handler wasn't looking at her. She really got herself open in a nice spot where we could have centered the disc and seen some better flow from there.
Big huck up the line once again.
Actually has
a very familiar play.
Yeah. The only difference on that one is it actually looks like it might be caught. SJR back on their goal line. Nice catch. A reset and a swing. That's what they really need. And SJR's had that a few times, and that's their big part. That is a great throw.
And a really nice run through D there.
It was. But
Nick
overall,
Charette
the
again
play
with
that
another D.
really looked like what they need to do.
You can see the SJR varsity team, the high school team, making their way to the fields here to start their warm-up.
Oh. Just a little over an hour into the time slot. This disc is going to carry, though. There's that early moment where it looks like it's going to be beautiful and just hang over for someone to run under, and but because it's that high up, the wind just picks up more and more and more and carries it completely out of bounds. Getting a word here from our just central that Westgate White beat the Lincoln Tasers for the middle school B final. Congratulations to Westgate. If that name sounded very similar to Lincoln's other team, it's because they kind of use I believe it's lasers, tasers, and phasers is the three team names. Very close.
SJR's really had their opportunities here going upwind to take this to half. They just have not
Both
been
teams
able
have had chances to punch it in, but especially that upwind. Just trying hard to keep his feet in and grab that with one hand without letting his body carry him out. Have to think some of these players are pretty exhausted. I know we had a timeout during this point, but
that was a while ago now.
Watching some of the Kelvin Clippers, their A team is going to be playing in the finals. Walk past this right now.
So both teams are getting ready for the high school final already.
That's right, yeah. They got a little while to go. They got about 45 minutes to game time, but you know they're thinking about it. Last year's game where we seemed like we took, I believe we took halftime when there was only a couple minutes left in the game.
Yeah, it looks like it
which
might be a similar
happen.
story here, unless SJR can punch it in real quick.
The disc is just hanging and
not on that
spinning.
possession.
No. Oh, Lincoln's got a player uncovered, and now he's got two. Ooh, it's unfortunate.
Ooh.
By the time that throw was ready to happen, both defenders had started following him. Lincoln would have been well served to find the open man who had been left.
Big gust of wind that came up there, and
that's right.
Lincoln took advantage and punted the disc down even farther.
Here we go. Lincoln with yet another chance. This is their best chance in a couple minutes to do this. Several yards out of the end zone on this side of the field. He's going to put that up, but there's just always seems to be, by the time the disc gets there, a lot of pressure on that player.
Be smart to maybe anticipate the cut a little bit better and maybe throw it a little earlier if he's able.
Yeah, I would say for sure that kind of distance, our earlier release would have given the player a chance to run onto it, as opposed to trying to win a battle. But even as it was, with the way the wind was blowing, it took every step he had to even get his fingers on it.
Just goes up again by it from SJR, and it drops down.
In this age group and in this division, a game like this would look a lot different on a different day. So if we had a nice sunny, calm day, you'd see a different style of play and probably a lot fewer throwaways and drops. Because right now, it's not only are they battling each other, but they're just battling the elements, the wind.
Mother Nature's probably going to win that one, Corey.
Oh, yeah. The score may be 7-2, but if we were scoring things, I think the Wind would have a substantial lead if we had a third score.
You can really see that disc. It starts to fly, it cuts the wind, and then the wind just sort of takes advantage and drops it right down to the ground. Makes it very tough to work your way up the field, which is why SGR has done such a great job on this point, making their way all the way up to the end zone a couple times.
Be interesting to know when this point actually started. Ooh, just gonna hang and sail.
Kind of opened up the edge there and let the wind take it, and that's why it sailed so far out of bounds.
Yeah, on a day like today, a throw from that far sideline over to this corner of the end zone is very difficult to make. I think if we'd seen a, ooh, nice. For Lincoln, I meant. I think the weather's kind of sent a lot of the other teams on their way. You know, I think that we would have saw it. If it would have been a nice day like yesterday,
Lots of people would stick
have probably
around.
stuck around to watch these finals.
Absolutely.
Oh wow!
Wow, that's a great
That's
ground.
a nice toe drag. I'm sure we'll get a nice replay of that up on the broadcast when you're watching this. But very impressive.
Knew exactly where the line was
Yeah.
and just dropped his foot right at the last second he needed to, and that's a very impressive catch and point. And that now makes the score 7-3 for
We
SJR.
got some fancy handshakes going on out there. It was a rare moment to even see a play on this sideline on that corner. And
Yes, exactly. We had the entire point going up one sideline, and then half an hour later, it seems like we get
That's right.
the scoring play on the other side.
14 exhausted players.
Hopefully, they all can get a rest now.
Yeah, well, you would assume that we might have another long point, and there's lots of players and subs on the sideline to take their spot. That's for sure. Now that I'm looking at our feathers, they're bending over way more than they were before, so that wind is
Oh, it's definitely picked up.
much more significant.
That's definitely why the last point there was so long.
For Lincoln's sake, they'll hope to not just give up a quick score here and really do what they need to do and what they haven't been able to do all day, which is score in that other end zone.
It's a tough task, so.
It's very difficult. Oh, wow.
Wow, that's a great catch there from Emily Cho. And she catches it just at the back of the end zone there. That's a great way to bring it into half for SJR. So that'll make the score 8-3 for SJR. Lee just confirming with Corey that is in fact halftime, so the players will get a chance to rest up. Hopefully the players who had that exhausting point can maybe take their halftime and hopefully rest another one just so they...
I'm sure there's other players that are going to get to play. And that's kind of what I was talking about is right before that poll went up was after that, you know, a half an hour fighting and battling and finally scoring to then a minute and a half later get scored on is quite frustrating.
Definitely.
But at this point, Lincoln can't afford the long points. They need to score quickly themselves just to close the gap. And given the point separation, it will be very difficult for them to do that.
Half an hour left in the game or so?
Not even. There's, what do we got, 14 minutes to hard cap. Like I said, just like last year, we've taken half time without much time left in the actual game itself.
Now, you can always follow Mods on Twitter at MODSMBCA. So
.ca.
on the Twitter account
Oh,
is...
I'm sorry, you're right. Sorry.
Yes. At MODSMBCA. No spaces, no capitals. You can follow Mods on Twitter there. You can get any sort of information you need, as well as, of course, the website, which is mods.mb.ca. That's where those dots came from, the website.
That's right. was what might for us be a record amount of discs sold this weekend. It was quite incredible. Speaking with the business and sport development director, my good buddy Sean Seawright, the discs were just flying off the shelf. They couldn't keep the table full. And while there was also a lot of great sales from our merchandise, from our VC Ultimate clothing gear, we've never had this situation where we actually sold more in discs than we did in the clothing. And considering the difference in price of each of those units, it's that tells you that's a lot of discs that have been sold. So with halftime here, the coach at SCR is just going to look to continue the game as it's going. They know the time is short. They know that if they can get at least one more point on their own, it basically virtually would make it impossible for Lincoln to win, even if Lincoln scored several points. And from Lincoln's side, well, you never want to give up. Part of this is just about learning in these moments. So being in this kind of game and how do you react and how do you play at the end of a game when maybe that game might be out of reach.
Of course.
But there's still points to be played. And there's a lot to be learned. And maybe later in their careers, they're going to be an important game like this. And they can look back at this day, even though they lost this game, that maybe they scored some points at the end of the game and brought it back. But it's certainly not over. But they literally would have to become very efficient and effective. And they need 2 or 3 points in a 5-6 minute span to get right back in there.
And with that win, we see that's a tall order. But however, Lincoln looks like where they're lining up, Lincoln will start with the win, so they'll have an opportunity to get their first one on the windy side.
So we have the Winnipeg Youth Ultimate League coming up in July and August on Tuesday nights. So that's something that some of these younger players will be looking forward to, and it's a great opportunity. Even if you're brand new and have never played, you can sign up. It's individual registration. Happens at Assiniboine Park. You can sign up on our website, mods.mb.ca, and I think that's a great way to either introduce someone to the sport or just get more playing time in. As we said, this school season is very, very short. SGR with a little bit of confusion on who's picking that disc up. Dobson with a nice throw and a nice bit on the layout there. Slide to catch the disc, but just a little bit out of his reach. Lincoln's really going to need to find a way to score in the next 30-40 seconds and not turn this into another half-hour point, because we don't have a half an hour left.
We'll definitely run out of time before then.
It's a great bid by Abby here. Defender went right over the top, too. Luckily, doesn't look like there's any injuries or anything. Some kind of a call, though. You see that, Hugh?
Looks like the call on it. Looked like she's thinking she got fouled.
Right. Players continue to discuss it. The self-officiation aspect of Ultimate is something that teachers and parents can really get behind. It teaches the players a lot of great values and conflict resolution and spirit of the game and fair play and sportsmanship.
And makes it more affordable.
Exactly.
That's the bottom line.
You don't have to pay for timekeepers and refs. Costs a lot less to play Ultimate than does a lot of other sports. Wow, there we go. That's what Lincoln needed.
Quick point
Punch
there
that
for
disc
Lincoln.
in.
That'll make the score 8-4 for SGR. However, Lincoln is running out of time, but you're right. That quick point is exactly what they needed right now.
Yeah.
And now they would need to buckle down and try and score on that windy side.
In a perfect world, they would pull down to SGR, maybe get a dropped pull or a first throwaway, and find that a field score.
Certainly never wish that upon a team, but if that's what it takes to.
I mean, it's from our perspective, that's one of Lincoln's only ways. Is going to have to come in a turnover so that Lincoln can start with the disc very close to that upfield end zone, and hopefully get that one good throw, one secure catch. And then they've got that other downwind, right? And suddenly,
exactly.
Actually, it seems
they score
impossible,
2 in a row,
but
it becomes 8-6, and then they've just gotten that upwind, and they know they can do it, so they can just go for it again.
We can't underestimate momentum. Confidence in sports at all levels, even with professionals, is such a big thing. So. Lincoln appears to have one player dramatically offside. He's getting a good 15-yard head start there. Yeah, maybe 10.
foot block there
It
for
does get
Lincoln.
to the disc.
That's
at least on
exactly
the
what
half.
they needed.
It's a good start. Lincoln will want to avoid making their first throw to that far sideline, though, which is most likely the only opportunity and option they're going to have. Oh, a nice throw. Nice catch. Abbey looks upfield. Oh,
Tough
in
drop
his hands
there.
and just in and out.
Another block
Interesting,
there.
yeah. Looked like he just kind of released it right into the player's forearm. I almost thought he just dropped it.
So Lincoln has another opportunity to break SJR upwind here and get themselves right back into this.
This is the problem Lincoln's had going in this direction. Is what looks like a good start to a throw turns into a disc that just ramps right up into the air.
SJR doing all the fakes they can to
There it is.
get the throw off, and he does, and there's a
Number
catch there
17
for
looking like a celebration with a pro. That looked like a college clap drop.
Brendan Halpenny there with that, and that'll make the score 9-4 for SJR. So a big point there for SJR considering the time and considering the momentum that Lincoln was having up that wind.
Yeah, that was probably the best stretch of the game there for Lincoln, was that quick score. Kind of looked like they were, changing the momentum for a moment. You can see some of our other mod staff, our good friend Brendan Wilson way off in the distance, carrying a big stack of cones. As we start to tear down the venue and clean up for the weekend. We've never run this many fields at once, so it's we're quite spread out.
I mean, in total, 27?
Yeah, we had 17 high school fields with one backup high school field ready to go, and 8 middle school fields with one backup middle school field. So that was
total of 27 with the backups.
yeah. That disc just coming up over the top. Lincoln punting it down the field, but again, they don't really have the time to play the war of attrition and sort of bounce it back and forth for long minutes. We know this time's coming.
It's a movement on the split, so it's going to be so maybe really we should.
So we're walking this disc back up. Mark is waiting for him. About 4 minutes from our hard cap here. Nice sliding catch. It's questionable whether he's in or not, and he is not in, so he drops it. Good spirit. All right, as we're just getting ready here to bring it back in. Lincoln again, right on the doorstep, hoping to cash in. They'd be well advised to have somebody else to dump that disc to.
Ethan's
One
not
of the
even looking
primary
at the
handlers
disc
was
even
wide
though
up
it was
behind there. He
open,
could have broken the count, delayed that option, got the disc back in the middle.
We have coach of Kelvin Daniel, the finger plured behind us here, making sure that we know who we're looking at in the next game as well.
Unfortunately, Calvin also will not have numbers on their jerseys, but as a coach in that division myself and had those players being in the division much longer, I'm going to know a lot more of those players just off the top of my head, and they've done a great job of giving us a list with descriptions, so hopefully we'll be able to identify as many players as possible. Lincoln, at this point, kind of fighting for pride with only a couple minutes left. He wants something. He's calling for it. Handler getting a little frustrated, all that clogging. interesting. I think they're sending that disc back. Or is that a turnover? It was hard to tell.
So it looks like it's being thrown back.
Okay, interesting, yeah.
And now it's coming right back, so maybe there's a foul on that throw.
It's possible.
Again, with no refs for signals, it's tough to try and find out what's going on just based on our own knowledge of the sport. But
It's been a very common bid today, is that sort of more baseball style slide, the knee slide. There's been so many
Absolutely.
discs low
It's
to the
been very
ground that
common.
people have been trying to get down there to secure it.
the other mod summer staff, of course, Karen Hatch, working probably more behind the scenes today. So Brendan, Karen, and myself, Hugh, working in the summer, and I get the job to sit and watch Ultimate while they have to do the cleanup, so lucky me.
Looks like maybe our horn isn't here, so I'm going to have to do a verbal hard cap. So I might walk away from the mic here for a second to let the teams know. Things are getting set up here. About to tap the disc in on one of the last moments of this game.
Wow,
nice
a
D.
really big D there from SJR. Looks like maybe a foul's being called there.
There's like confusion here as we
Perhaps a contested foul, so Lincoln will get the disc back again. Looks like
early
Trent.
movement, and now a lot of players cluttering to that same corner.
Oh, I hear a horn in the back there.
That was the horn.
That'd be a hard cap, so this
Yep.
will be the last point.
That is the hard cap, and this will be the final point, regardless of who scores it. And that, I don't have to go do that. That's great. We'll be presenting a winning team with their provincial banner, and the players on the team will be getting their discs for winning the championship, something they're quite accustomed to, especially if you're from St. John's Ravenscourt, as they've dominated the middle school division. I don't think they've lost a provincial championship at the middle school level. They've lost a Hold Back the Snow tournament, but not provincials. Nice catch in the middle, a fake. Looking for that dump. He has it. This would be very impressive on SGR's part if they could finish this. Wow. One of the better upfield throws we've seen all day.
Very nice D there, though, from Ethan. I believe
Yeah.
that was he was standing in the middle there.
Absolutely. I'm not sure if they had the angle to get a receiver on that afterwards, but that disc was going to go right into the end zone or near it, and was spinning flat, so it could have hung. Big fake. Here comes that forehand, just kind of a bit of a punt.
Definitely a punt.
That throw up the line. Oh, except for the D didn't get it. And there's that flat hand. Nice
Wow,
catch.
nice one-handed catch.
Here it comes. Oh, into
Oh.
the wind. Just a bit of patience. That would have been a nice way to cap the game off if they'd completed another pass there.
Brendan Halpenny there trying to follow the disc, but it's just a little too far over his head.
No
Nice D
chance
there
for that
from-
throw. That was sniffed out early by the D. She just stepped back in the lane and two-handed it down.
I see a lot of two-handed Ds in middle school. I find that
Right.
interesting.
Oh!
Wow, what a great grab that
I'm
was.
not sure if they're in yet, but that was impressive. And the short pass.
And a
A
spike
little bit
to
of
finish the
exclamation point, a little
game.
bit of emphasis. And
That'll-
Prairie Fire charges the field as they know they are champions.
That'll make the final score 10-4. for SJR as they once again remain the middle school champions.
I think Dean Wright might need to talk to SGR about another building because that wall with all those banners is getting pretty full, I assume.
So congratulations
We'd be remiss
to
if we
them.
didn't mention our good friend Dean Wright, who's been the mastermind behind all of the programs at SGR, and of course the SGR varsity team, who we'll be seeing here in several minutes in the high school final, and they will be looking to match their younger counterparts with the 2017 championship.
So big congratulations to both SGR and Lincoln on a fun game today, despite the conditions. SGR taking it 10-4. So we want to thank everybody for tuning in today to watch these 2017 Manitoba Organization of Disc Sports Middle School Provincial Finals here at Little Mountain Sportsplex. We are going to have the high school final shortly.
Yep, presented
Around
by
for you.
IJL Limited, Independent Jewelers Limited.
Of
Really
course.
thank them again. Can't say that enough times. Pretend I said it 10 times. Please.
And as both teams go for handshakes here, we will say goodbye. Thank you very much for joining us, and have a good day.